Hi, everybody, and welcome to another exciting edition of Words, Images, and Worlds, streaming to you not live but pre-recorded. It looks like from Arkham Asylum, with comics creator Shadia Amin, and I'm sporting my Batman t-shirt this morning too.
Oh,
So
nice. I didn't
yeah,
realize.
yeah. So we are on brand here, and
Oh, I should
um,
have totally wore I bought this like vintage Batgirl fit. I should have probably worn it, but it's fine.
it works. It works.
For the next con.
That's right. That's right. Or you're welcome to come back on sometime and
Yeah,
sport that.
awesome. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you were saying that you have an affinity for the Batman animated series as
It's pretty
well.
much that X-Men and the Spider-Man 90s cartoon were like my introduction to comics.
Hmm.
Comics were not really accessible in Colombia back then. Usually you will get them in the US, so every media that I consumed that led me to comics was just TV as a kid,
Hmm.
which I'm pretty
Hmm.
sure that's like a lot of people's like introductions.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Same here. I grew up in not Columbia, but a small town in West Virginia. And, you'd sort of find comics wherever you could. But the television was a big gateway to a lot of those characters that I did not know anything about. I would get the occasional issue and sort of catch some characters in parts of the wider universes, but the TV was a big gateway, and then action figures that came as a result of those animated series. So, um,
Nice.
yeah, yeah. So as an artist, as a creator, what was it about comics that made you decide this is the thing, this is the place for my art to live?
So growing up, I was the anime kid. Thankfully, we were a lot of anime kids. Like, I cannot emphasize like the grip Ranma and Dragon Ball had on a lot of kids. Still
Hmm.
has a big grip. Like Goku's dub actor, he's Mexican, but he posts like reels and Instagram every once in a while, and people love him
Yeah,
because his
yeah.
voice is so iconic in the Spanish dub. It like Latino Spanish dub. Anime, even though it not it's not wasn't popular, it
Mhm.
was still like enough that you were able to find like your group of friends, and just have at least a group where you all had each other and be able to draw and all that stuff.
Hmm.
So I was very much the anime kid, and like we did have weirdly more access to manga and how to draw manga books rather than American and European, much less are European. You will never see like Tintin or something like that here. Uh I just will start reading them as a teen, but I did forget actually as a child I will read the Sunday Funnies
Hmm.
from the local newspaper. That one had bringing up father, Beetle Bailey. I forgot the other one. There's about this dude who, he's drawn like a cartoon, but then his wife is like a smoking hot, realistic human. I forget
Uh-huh.
the name of the guy. Had like a partition and the three hairs sticking out on the sides. I forget the name of that one. It also had Popeye. It had the Phantom. It had Tarzan.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And it had them as the Sunday strips, but I remember that Phantom and Tarzan were actually serialized. So what they will do is that they take the comic strip, put them in like a Sunday funny strip, and you kind of will halfway read the comic as it goes. I know Popeye did that, but it actually did it specialized in the Sunday funnies format. Does that make sense?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
So that was like my first access to comics, and but I didn't really know you could do comics until I actually started getting into manga. And then I came across my first volume of manga, which is Ranma and a half, and I just now realized like, oh, I should have read that at like 11. That's But I will just redraw and trace, to be honest, the panels a lot for it just to learn how to draw. My
Mhm.
parents, that was like the one book that they ever bought me for manga, and one like American manga magazine that came from the US somehow made it to my bookstore. And it was tough because they didn't want me to get any how to draw manga books. They just did not wanted them because they were like, no, if you're gonna draw art, you're gonna draw fine arts.
Hmm.
You're not
Hmm.
gonna draw any of this. And I was like, it took a while. Like it's one of those like, and I remember talking about this in a panel when it comes to about Latinos and stuff. It's like a lot of that comes from fear because your parents don't understand that.
Hmm.
So the moment, like the more I was able to like prove them like this is a livable thing, look where I am, look where I'm going, they were like, okay, yeah, like awesome.
Right.
Like even like my aunt, uncle, my cousins, they're like, holy shit, you're amazing, all that stuff. And it's nice. But yeah, so I pretty much wanted to do my own little stories, and I also had a group of friends that we were all like had our sketchbooks and stuff, and we will all draw. But it wasn't until I was in high school that a SCAD recruiter came and said, like, yeah, you can actually learn how to do comics. I was supposed to go to Europe to go to an art school there, but my dad was like, no, that is too far away. No.
Uh-huh. Hmm.
Uh, like find somewhere in the US. And I was like, well, shit. But during that time, the SCAD recruiter came, and SCAD was actually the only college I applied and I got in.
Nice, nice.
So that was really good. So I did start taking a sequential art career. And after that, I took like a year off as soon as I graduated, where I was like trying to figure out work.
Hmm.
I work on a webcomic called The Ottoman's Daughter for a few years, but then I decided, like a year or so after that, but then I decided to go back to grad school.
Hmm.
And then I went and graduated from my master's in 2019. And after that is when people started like actively asking me to do jobs. And it started because of Steven Universe, actually.
Nice, nice.
I will
Yeah.
draw so much Steven Universe fan art that somebody at Boom actually asked me, like, hey, we don't have Steven Universe, but would you like to do the Amazing World of Gumball? And I would be like, yeah, sure.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I did just one novel for them, and that's it.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, now you have Spider Ham,
Yeah.
that's out, and you're doing work with Scholastic Graphics.
Yeah,
So that's
I
very exciting.
yeah, oh, and keep forgetting to say I'm actually doing like a little spin-off of olive oil, like officially, which
Oh,
is kind of
nice, nice.
crazy. Because as soon as I told my parents, like they understood, like, oh, olive oil, and I was like, yeah, olive oil. They're like, oh my God. I do a weekly spin-off with Randy where we update it twice a week. I update on Tuesdays, Randy updates on Thursdays, and it's about Olive and Popeye's life when it's not like adventures or the Sunday funnies.
Nice.
So even though our comic did cross once during December, where both our stories were happening at the same time, they meet at a point and then they just go back to their places.
Hmm.
uh Otherwise they're pretty much their own separate thing. We do try to talk and make sure like our comics like to keep certain consistencies in the comic. uh but it's been a lot of fun. It's actually at the very end. I think I'm like 7 strips ahead of 6 or 7 strips ahead of finishing it, so it's gonna end anytime by the end of the summer, which
Nice.
is sad because it's been a fun
Yeah.
experience to do it.
That's one of those, I love those full circle stories where like something you've read that inspired you as a young person comes back and you're able to
It's
create it.
crazy. When I
Yeah.
got contacted by T at Comics Kingdom, I was like, am I gonna get offered like a Popeye thing or something? Like and she says like, so you know Popeye? And I was like, Christ. Yeah, it's just crazy. Although my favorite thing is recently I told a couple of people like kill Olive in the comics, you know that? And they were like, what? I was like, yeah, she's a ghost, but she's back now. She's fine. They were like, what? How did they let you get away with that? I was like, I asked. They said yes. And they were like,
Yep.
okay.
Nice, nice. And I love that too,
Yeah, I did
the
explain like,
direction.
hey, this is what's gonna happen. I want to make sure that's okay. And they were like, oh, it's fine. It's fine. Don't worry. It's
Yeah.
great. And like people liked it. Like people actually liked the fact that they were like, oh my God, you killed her. What's gonna happen? And I was like, She was a ghost. She didn't really die. She got her soul sucked out, but I do like saying, I kill her for the shock factor.
Right, right. Well, and when you take a character in a different direction like that, I think it's appreciated to explore something creative and a little bit different too.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. People definitely resonated with that aspect just for the fact that it felt like old Popeye. My stuff is just more like how do I say this? Like very like slice of life because that's just where
Hmm.
I attune a little bit more. Like I aside from my superhero stuff, a lot of the stuff that I like working on has been like superhero, but the life of the superhero.
Hmm.
The oh no, the magical savior, but the life of the magical savior after they save the world, like what happens after, stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. Love
I
that.
do like focus on the life aspect of the superheroes. And recently Chainsaw Man was one that kind of like inspired me to do that a lot because if you ever read it, you realize the fights are like really fast. Like, yeah, it
Hmm.
goes a couple of chapters, but the focus is like, hey, this character goes to visit family at a cemetery, and he said, honestly, this is the least sad I've ever been.
Hmm.
Because his two friends were just like the worst. Like they were like barfing on the boat, they were like making a mess, they were just being loud, they were eating funeral offerings. And he said, like, honestly, this is the least that I've ever been. Because you two idiots. I love you.
Mm.
And stuff like that. Like I really like that. So
Yeah. Those honest moments are human
yeah.
moments. Yeah.
I like focusing on those. I feel like stuff like that is the things that like, oh, this is the stuff that I want to say in my comics. It's um just how the characters feel. Like, not like the whole like I'm just so tortured, but it's like
Hmm.
how can we make the like how do people will feel about this? Like how to say this? Like one of the sorry, am I like diverging by the way? Am I
No, no,
tangent?
you're good. You're fine. You're fine.
Okay. Like one of the stories that I did was actually my graduation project, and it's on my website. It's called The Haze. I
Hmm. Hmm.
focus a lot on how the character dealt with her mom during a battle or before the battle, and it was because and I talk about this before, like just Latino standards with parents are just so vastly different from American.
Hmm.
So they're gonna be more American Latino parents tend to be a little bit more helicopter. Unfortunately, they tend to be more judgmental about your appearance, so they will start saying like just kind of mean comments about that, like "oh, don't eat dessert in front of your date" and stuff like that. And that stuff that I put the on the comic that was it will happen, and I had friends who will message me saying like, "holy shit, that's my mom," and I was like, "I'm
Hmm.
sorry,"
Hmm.
you know. So I did. They people really like that one a lot, and I'm just trying to find. We're gonna pitch it, but that is gonna have to be like once I'm done with all the work that I have right now.
For
But
sure.
at least I know that people have enough interest that it could become a pitch. That it will become a pitch in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have future projects like that, like dream projects, characters, or stories that you'd love to work on?
Yes, actually. Okay, so I will say this, because I won't stop saying it. My dream project will be doing like a Spider-Gwen issue, even if it's like a one-off or something.
Hmm.
I'm kind of doing that, but not officially with Marvel. I'm just doing like a little fan comic that I had an idea like a year or so ago. So I told a friend who's like also has read Spider-Gwen, and I told him like, I have this story. Do you
Yes.
want to
Yeah.
write it? So we're now like, oh, he just sent me the script, so I'm just like, oh, and it's like an 8-page story. So I'm very excited about how it's gonna go.
Hmm. Hmm. Cool.
Once I start thumbnailing it. And I have the Hay story that I have to do with my friend, but we just have to find the time because he's also very busy. He's like the head of a gaming design company, so
Oh, nice,
it's a
nice.
small like phone company, but it's still like he's the head.
Yeah.
And then I'm actually working on a web comic idea with my buddy Jordan Alsaka.
Hmm.
I love that guy. We have collaborated once already in a short story. Unfortunately, the Kickstarter didn't get funded. But we're like, this is fun. We like this. So I told him like, hey, I had this story that I did like back when I was in undergrad. But I actually kind of want to develop it, and but I have no clue how to. I'm just not confident in my long term writing, like my 60 pages or more. I'd rather somebody else do it.
Hmm.
So I told Jordan like, hey, I have this story, and I just dropped him like, this is all the characters, this is like everything that I had an idea from, and then he actually went in and made something out of that mess.
Nice, nice, nice.
And then we actually because that story's just like everybody tells me like, okay, this is not unpublished because of like it's bad, it's just more like it does not have like a demographic that a lot of publishers are going for right now, which is like the press post college people.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, and I'm like,
Hmm.
why not? Because like I have talked with some like editors, they were like, oh my god, yeah, this is great, but we cannot publish it. I'm like, so we're going the webcomic route, which now the editor of one of the webcomic plays that we're going for already destroyed the story in a good way, by the way. I love it when editors demolish my story, but they say like you have to rework it. They don't say like, oh, can it, because you cannot publish it, because okay, it
Hmm.
means
Hmm.
that it's still publishable. I just have to work it to make it better. That's great. So now it's at a stage that Jordan and I are very happy where the plot is standing. But because I don't have the time to fully do commit to the webcomic now, we're just publishing a small like we did a 4-page story, and now we're working on an 8-page story, and we're just gonna throw like little side stories like that on the meantime, just to have fun with the story and then see where everything goes from there.
Nice, nice. And I love what you're saying about collaboration too, because that seems to be one of the fun things about comics. I guess it can be fun.
I
Uh,
wish people will understand that more and stop treating their peers as competition, because you
yeah.
see it so often that and I will say this. I had a couple of mentees that came to me at Heroes Con this year,
Hmm.
and there was this editor there who's a hard ass. I love him, but he is very harsh, critiquey.
Yeah.
So he actually went and destroyed like 3 of my students, but then one of them gave him a job on the spot. And then everybody told me like, oh, we went out for dinner to celebrate. Like, yeah, he destroyed us, but like we were so happy for him, like, you know. And I was like, oh my god, why can't my peers, several peers my age, be like that? Jesus Christ.
Hmm.
I have
Hmm.
lost friendships over the fact that I have gotten comic gigs, and I'm like, I would have helped you, you know. Okay,
Yeah.
bye.
Yeah, that is unfortunate, and yeah, I'm much more about collaboration than competition. So,
Yeah, I think definitely I think people don't understand like, you know, those peers, there's no point in resenting them. Like it's fine if you just happen to not get along, but like don't get mad at them because they're successful, you know.
yeah.
Like it's not
Yeah.
gonna hurt you, and like unless the person actively sabotage you, which is like so rare seeing that happen,
Hmm.
and you have to have like such a huge sway in the industry that not a lot of people really have. I don't think like, you know, why would you go there trash talk your friend like that? The community's like I cannot emphasize how much like the community is so small that people are gonna find out eventually. I
Hmm.
have found out like friends have said awful stuff about me because they said it so much that people came back to tell me, hey, this friend is telling you the awful stuff about you, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
what the hell? Okay, I guess this is where we are. Bye.
Yeah. It's good to find those people that you can collaborate with, you can have those relationships with, and it's healthy and positive and
It
adult
yeah.
relationships.
Yeah, I pretty much kind of learned that the moment somebody starts like throwing me red flags like that, like, oh, I just don't like this person, and the person is just like the most normal person, and they just happen to not like them because they clearly are like doing well. I'm just
Hmm.
like, oh, this is where we at. Okay, peace out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just kind of learn to identify those red flags, and just gonna. I have like my little comic group, and it's small, but like I'm so happy with them, so I'm just like, yes, collaboration.
Yeah, yeah. Someone
Uh,
asked me one time about friendships, and I said, you know, as you get older, you have an idea of what you're looking for in friendships and
yeah.
collaborations more and more, I think.
Yeah, like yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, which speaking of collaboration, like you
Mhm.
never know who's gonna also help you when you're at your lowest.
True.
Because after I graduated and I finished Gumball, I actually felt like, okay, this is it. It's not gonna get better after this. And I will always shout her out, Sarah Stern, who's a colorist. I
Yeah.
will always shout her out forever. Um, she basically recommended me to do a Gretsuko with a script that she wrote, and she then colored it. And I will forever be grateful for her for that because I don't think I would have kept going the way I would have if it wasn't for her. Like she helped me when I was like really, really down and really doubting myself, saying like, "Oh, maybe this is it. I peaked, and it's not gonna get better after this." And she
Hmm.
was like, "No, no, here, come with me." So again, shout
Awesome.
out to Sarah Stern. Get on her sticker club. She deserves it.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll I'll have to reach out to her and be like,
Oh,
"Hey,
she's
I heard good
wonderful.
things
She's a
about you."
wonderful person. I love her so much.
Yeah. So I also want to ask you before our time wraps up about this book that I know that you have
Oh
that's on
yeah.
the horizon, Shiny Misfits, and you also
Yeah.
have another Spider Ham that's on the way too. I'll
Yeah, it's
mention that.
coming out. I'm very excited about that one.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't want to get into the world of spoiling things by any means, but just curious about Shiny Misfits because it looks like a really amazing book
Mm,
and looks like something a lot of readers yeah, yeah,
This is
awesome.
the ARC, so I'm excited.
Nice.
But yeah, so wait, what was your question?
Yeah, so just curious if you want to give a little tease of that and it looks like something that readers of a lot of ages can really enjoy a lot.
Yeah, oh wait, there we go. Ah, there we go.
Love it.
So yeah, it's actually written by Maisun Sayed, who she is a disability advocate, comedian, writer, teacher. What is she not? She also actress because she was on General Hospital, which was her dream, and then she made it.
Oh, cool,
So
cool.
she's awesome. So Maisun has cerebral palsy, and she struggled a lot with opportunities because of that. And I has seen it firsthand how people treat her so differently. Like a cab tried to charge us like 4 times more than they should have just because he had to put the wheelchair on the back.
Mm,
Or even though she got a really nice hotel room, they were trying to downgrade her because it didn't have an accessible shower. It did. It did have an accessible shower. They just were not bothered to look which nice hotel room had it, you know?
mm-hmm.
So stuff like that is kind of like wild. And she just pretty much learned to fight uh because it's not fair how people were treating her, like downgrading her or trying to like get more upcharge her for stuff that it was like not fair for her to be upcharged for.
Yeah.
So she did a comic, and this is not spoiler, it's just like the main like on my half people told about it. Basically she manages to do something for herself where she stands out, and the guy that she likes uses her as disability bait to steal her spotlight. So
Mm,
she's trying to get revenge and just trying to stand out on her own with that. Because despite of that, she just hated how people just treated her
mm-hmm.
um, after that video of the guy she liked went viral, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it is a really cute story. It's been a lot of fun seeing how much people have enjoyed it, so it makes me really happy. It's been a lot of fun working on it. I feel really proud of the work that I did. Because it's one of those like going back and reading the ARC, I was like, oh, okay, I actually like the body acting that I did on that. I don't know. I my main focus is like, even if my art is not the prettiest, I want to communicate the emotion the best.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to focus on that. I was like, okay, I really communicated like the emotion or the pose that I wanted to do at the moment. So I'm very proud where it is, you know.
Yeah,
Does
yeah,
that make
awesome.
sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited. It's coming out in April of next year. So yeah, I think it's going off the press this week. So
Awesome. So yeah, and looking forward to that, looking forward to sharing more about it. And I always appreciate it when stories of disabilities or diverse abilities are told, through the lens or collaboration of someone who actually has that experience in some
Yeah.
way. So that's a really, really huge affordance to that book.
Yeah, my son and I actually have gotten to meet in person April of
Nice.
last year actually. Um and we had the opportunity to like she will just tell me like yeah so I drink with a straw because of this so like or like she will like because we were in Savannah in that trip she like showed like I don't know if you ever been to Savannah it's like my
Hmm.
favorite city ever but the roads are very like uneven because
Mm,
of they got uprooted by the trees so she's
hmm.
like you see this I cannot walk here we need
Yeah.
to stop it and stuff like that so it was nice to learn and she will actually see the work where I was going and she will see like hey so something that she want me to emphasize is for example her hands because her hands just do like clamp a lot in the fingers or in one finger she will stretch them a lot she will call her and I'm very sorry she calls her the palsy claws so she's
Mm,
like put a palsy claw here put a palsy claw there
hmm. Hmm.
or she will tell me like, hey, the she needs to write in here with one hand because she couldn't be able to like really write with two, you know?
Yeah.
So I will
Yeah.
just draw her with her hand down and then type in with the other one. Little things like that, or like, hey, make sure like there are no stairs in the house unless there's a disability like a chair. I don't know how you call them. The like
Like the lift.
the lift chairs. Thank
Mm,
you
hmm. Hmm.
obviously has a lift chair, stuff like that. So it was like really nice to have that hand on like this is how to portray cerebral palsy, a specific way to show cerebral palsy because not all diagnostics are the same, you know.
Hmm. Hmm.
Not all symptoms or not always it manifests as the same. This is just a specifically way it manifests in May soon. So we put that in May Ann's character, just to keep that experience as specific as possible. Um, and so I was able to do what I feel like is like at least a true and respectful representation because it's coming from directly from the person who's telling me like this is how you do it, this is how you show this,
Hmm.
this is things
Hmm.
to take account to not portray it as offensive or taking account like, hey, if she goes up the stairs, she needs help, stuff like
Hmm.
that. So I was like, okay, yeah, because I can make sure that her disability just does not exist when it's convenient for the plot. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It
Yeah.
has it's a constant in her life, so I have to make sure to take that into account.
Yeah. Yeah. That'll be great to have out in the world. And so the last question as we're sort of coming to the end here is I always like to give folks the chance to share about web spaces.
Oh
You
yeah.
mentioned that you have a website, any social media spaces that are active that you really particularly share on, or and upcoming appearances, things like that.
Yeah. So I am Shadia Amin art on everything. So ShadiaMinArt on everything. My website, Instagram, uh, Twitter, and now most recently Threads and Blue Sky. We'll see how those two go.
Yes,
Uh,
yeah, brand new.
and yeah, so I am currently seeing if I am going to like Belton. I think it's called Belton County Comic Con.
Hmm.
Maybe we're still like uh I had people reach out for me for that. I'm gonna go to Rose City and Dragon Con. I'm still waiting to see what happens with that. So we'll see with Dragon Con. But right now, the only
Nice.
one that I do have confirmed is Rose City Comic Con. For right now. All right.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. I was just locating you on the social medias, and you mentioned Heroes Con
Yeah.
a little bit earlier, so I may catch you there. I'm actually not too far from Heroes Con.
Oh, nice. It's my favorite con to go. So I always say like if I make it a point to go to one con a year, it's gonna be that one.
Nice,
That is gonna
nice.
be the one con I go to. I love it. I had a wonderful time this year. Like I just miss my friends a lot because we're all spread out.
Yeah,
So this is
yeah,
like the one con we get to like see each other and hang out and just, have a great time. So
cool, very
it's
cool.
great. I love it so much. It's my favorite con, and everybody there's the stuff is so nice too. So yeah, I love it.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thanks for spending some time. Thanks for talking about your work. And Shadia, it's been great featuring you and glad to
Thank
share about your
you.
work anytime.
And thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure.
I take care.
You too.